Hi everybody. Today I wanted to discuss another reason why the homeless in Atlanta often are on the street and not in a shelter or don't have housing. As I've discussed before, a lot of them are mentally ill. Some people, yes, are down on their luck, and some people, yes, have drug addiction, and some people have both, mental illness and drug addiction. But the mentally ill are often off of medication because they simply get it stolen, or they lose it because they're delusional or they're hallucinating, or they're not on medication, or the medication is simply just not working for them. And they become delusional, or they hallucinate, or they become manic, and you'll see them talking to themselves. You may see them looking in a window and even getting combative with the person they're talking to because they're seeing their reflection. Or they're just completely delusional and they're out there directing traffic, or they might think there's aliens, or they're the president. There's a lot of different delusional states, but oftentimes they're picked up off the street and thrown into the jail rather than the psych ward, and they basically pick them up under disorderly conduct. And when they take them and they put them into jail, often a lot of them are regulars, and they will take their property. And they take them straight through. With my son, they would say, well, welcome back, Corey, you're a regular. They would put him right in the red suit at ACDC, which is not a band, it's Atlanta City Detention Center. They would put him in the red suit, and they would take him up to the psych part of the jail. When they are ultimately released and their property has been taken, they put it about, I actually looked up where they put it. Property is 8.9 miles away. So if they've got their wallet and their identification locked up, even if they get to the place that's 8.9 miles away, how are they going to pick up their property without identification if their identification is in property? This happened to my son several times because they would take his backpack, they'd send it over to property, and then he had no identification. So even if they treated him, even if they took him out and took him over to Grady Hospital and got him treated and then brought him back to the jail, and he started to get better or somewhat better, when they released him, he didn't have his property. He would have to get over to the place to get his property, but yet he had no identification, no money, no anything to be able to get his property. So if you don't have identification, you can't get into a shelter. You need identification to be able to go and get a TB test, because you have to have a TB test. So you need your ID for everything. You need ID. You need to be able to get your TB test. And if you can't do that, you can't walk into the health department and get that TB test. So you wonder why these people are all laying around on the street. They have been basically prevented from being able to even to get into a shelter or get housing or access their own property because they have no money to get there and they have no identification to get it. So this is a real problem. Yes, they'll give you a jail ID, but a lot of the time their property is so far away they have no money to go get it. And these are the type of things that need to be fixed in our system so they can at least have identification, go get that TB test, and then go get into a shelter or some type of housing. If they've managed to make some money or they do have some money, there's ARC that they can go to. That's $9 a night. So there are places they can actually go, but the reason why they don't has a lot to do with the circumstances that they're put in. And oftentimes they are released from jail with delusions, hallucinations. They are just basically doped up, so they're not a problem to the jail staff, but their problem isn't fixed. And they don't really feel better. So they're really not in any better state, and it becomes a revolving cycle. So they get out, they have no identification, or maybe this time they do. They kept their wallet, they have something, they did give it back to them, but their medication's not right. Start acting up again, police pick them up. Again, they go back to ACDC. Maybe they go out to Grady. Maybe they bring them back. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just put them in the red suit. They do have people that deal with mental illness, but they don't necessarily have access to all the drugs that they need. So they might just give them just one drug, like lithium or Zyprexa. They might not give them a combination of drug. In my son's case, he's on 4 different medications, and he needs all of them. So there's a lot of reason why we have a homeless population. So as a family member, you have to check up on your loved one. You have to stay behind them. You have to stay involved with their treatment. And that way, we can hopefully help some of these people get off the street and have a healthy life instead of living in constant misery. Anyway, have a great day. Advocate for your loved ones. Stay involved with them. Don't give up on them. There is hope, but you do have to stay on top of it. Have a good day.